The Denver Spiderman, the man who lived in the walls. Scene 1, a murder in the Mile High City. The year is 1941. Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City, is a place where neighbors greet one another on quiet streets, where doors are left unlocked and the troubles of the world feel distant, even as war looms overseas. But on one autumn afternoon, horror would creep into this peaceful setting and leave a stain that would never fully fade. At 3335 West Moncrief Place, a modest but tidy home sits nestled among elm trees, its curtains drawn against the afternoon sun. Inside lives 73-year-old Philip Peters, a retired auditor, well-liked, soft-spoken, and known to all as a kind man who kept to himself. For weeks, he had been shouldering his household alone as his wife recovered in hospital from a broken hip. Friends and neighbors admired his devotion, often seeing him walk to visit her, a cane in hand, his pace slowed but determined. But on this fateful day, something went terribly wrong. When neighbors noticed mail piling up and curtains remaining closed through the afternoon, concern spread. They entered the home, calling out. The sight that met them was like something from a nightmare. Peter's lifeless body lay sprawled on the floor. He had been savagely bludgeoned with a stove shaker, a heavy metal poker, his skull fractured, blood pooling beneath him, and a trail of crimson leading back toward the kitchen. What truly baffled the neighbors, and soon the police, was how it had happened. The doors were bolted from the inside, the windows locked tight. No valuables had been taken. There was no sign of forced entry, no evidence of an intruder, and yet a man was dead, murdered in broad daylight, in a house that seemed impenetrable. The quiet neighborhood of West Moncrief Place, once a picture of safety, had become the stage for a locked-room mystery. And the question echoed from house to house: how could such a crime happen here, and who or what had done it? Welcome to Legends Unveiled, where we explore the darkest corners of history's most chilling mysteries. Tonight, we begin the story of the Denver Spiderman, a case so strange it sounds like fiction. But every word is true. Scene 2, a house that breathed. Weeks after the tragedy, Mrs. Peters returned to the home on West Moncrief Place, her body frail from recovery, her spirit weighed down by grief. But instead of peace, she found unease. Strange things began to happen almost immediately. At night, she heard footsteps echoing through empty rooms. Lights flicked on in places she hadn't entered. Food vanished from the pantry as if taken by unseen hands. Fear gnawed at her. She reported these disturbances to the police, who searched the house from cellar to attic, but found nothing. Time and again, the officers assured her there was no intruder, yet the disturbances continued. Neighbors, once sympathetic, began to whisper. The house on Moncrief Place gained a reputation, not as a safe haven, but as a haunted dwelling where sorrow had invited in something dark. Mrs. Peters' health declined as her anxiety deepened. The shadows in her home seemed to lengthen. Some neighbors claimed they saw a figure in a window late at night, a shape that vanished when approached. The house was soon dubbed the Haunted House of Moncrief Place, a place where objects seemed to move on their own. Unexplained cold drafts crept through sealed rooms, and shadows flickered across walls where no light should have been, a place the neighborhood children dared each other to approach. And all the while, something or someone watched from within, hidden, just out of sight. Scene 3, the Spider-Man revealed. After months of complaints and growing fear, the police decided to stake out the Peters home. One night, as moonlight glinted off the frost-covered windows, an officer spotted movement, a shadow descending silently from the attic trapdoor into the kitchen. It was a gaunt, ghost-like man, his clothes tattered, his hair and fingernails long and wild, his face hollow from isolation. Before the officer could react, the figure tried to scramble back up into the crawl space, but he was seized and dragged out. The man was Theodore Edward Coneys, and the moment he was dragged from the shadows, gasps echoed through the house. Officers recoiled at his ghastly, emaciated form, and word of the discovery spread like wildfire through the neighborhood. The community was shaken to its core, horrified to learn that the intruder had been lurking above them all along, hidden within their midst. The Denver Spiderman. The attic he had called home for nearly a year was no larger than a coffin, just 27 inches wide, littered with filthy bedding, scraps of stolen food, and human waste. The police were stunned. They could hardly believe a man had survived so long in such a space, hidden above their heads all along. Coneys, emaciated and pale, looked almost inhuman, more spectre than man, the embodiment of the nightmare that had haunted Moncrief Place. Scene 4, The Man in the Walls. Theodore Coneys' story was as chilling as his discovery. A frail, sickly child, he had been nicknamed Spider-Man in his youth because of his thin, spindly frame. Life had been unkind to him. He drifted across the country, destitute, sickly, forgotten. Years earlier, he had crossed paths with Philip Peters, a kind man who once shared a meal with him when he was hungry. By the autumn of 1941, Coneys found himself in Denver, starving and desperate. He sought out the Peters house, hoping for help. But when no one answered the door, he slipped inside through an unlocked entrance and discovered the tiny attic cubbyhole. It was no bigger than a coffin, but it was shelter, and so he stayed, unseen, sneaking down at night for food and water. That terrible day came when Peters caught him in the kitchen. Coneys panicked. In a frenzy of fear, he grabbed the stove shaker and struck. After that, he never left. For 9 long months, he lived in complete isolation in that stifling pitch-black space. Later, in his eerie confession, Coneys whispered, "I was afraid to go out. I didn't dare." Scene 5, The Trial and Legacy. Theodore Coneys was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, his days of hiding over, his name forever etched into Denver's dark history. The press gave him a chilling moniker, the Denver Spiderman. The public, fascinated and horrified, devoured the story of the man who had lived in the walls, unseen for nearly a year. Coneys became the stuff of urban legend, his name inspiring books, true crime documentaries, and even horror films like Hider in the House, and episodes of shows like Creepy Canada and Paranormal Witness, cementing the chilling trope of the hidden intruder in popular culture, his tale repeated in hushed tones, inspiring films, books, and myths about hidden intruders. The idea that someone could be living secretly in one's home gripped the public imagination, seeding lasting fear of attics, crawl spaces, and the shadows in our own houses. To some, Coneys was a monster. To others, a pitiable figure, broken by a lifetime of hardship. But in the end, his story remains a terrifying reminder of what may lurk just beyond the walls. What do you think? Was he an evil killer or a man destroyed who deserved better? Drop your theory in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more journeys into the unknown, right here on Legends Unveiled.